Imagine the asteroid never hit. That is where we have to start. No giant explosion in the sky, no dust covering the planet, no sudden collapse that wipes out most of the dinosaurs. The world just keeps going. The giant plant eaters keep walking through forests. Predators are still hunting. The planet never gets handed over to mammals the way it did in our timeline. And honestly, if that happened, humans probably would not exist in the exact way we do now. That is the first thing to admit. The extinction of the dinosaurs opened up space for mammals to grow, spread, and eventually turn into things like primates, apes, and humans. Without that event, the whole story of life changes. But let's say, for the sake of the idea, that humans still show up somehow. Maybe evolution takes a different road. Maybe it takes longer. Maybe humans are not exactly the same, but close enough. A smart, social, tool-using species appears in a world where dinosaurs are still alive. So now the question becomes simple. Could humans survive in that world? And the answer is yes, but not in the way movies usually show it. Humans would not survive because some guy with a spear runs into a forest and fights a giant predator like he is in an action scene. That would be stupid. That guy would last about 4 seconds and become a warning story for children. Humans would survive because we are good at avoiding problems, learning patterns, and working together. That is our real superpower. We are not the strongest animal, we are not the fastest, we are not built like tanks. But we can watch, remember, plan, build, and teach the next generation what not to do. That would be everything in a dinosaur world. Early humans would probably live very carefully. They would stay close to caves, cliffs, forests, rivers, or rocky areas where huge dinosaurs could not move easily. Open land would be dangerous, not just because of predators, but because even peaceful dinosaurs could kill you by accident. A giant herd walking through the wrong area could destroy a camp without even noticing. That is something people forget. Not every dinosaur has to be evil or aggressive to be dangerous. An elephant today can be dangerous just because it is huge. Now imagine that problem with animals many times bigger. So humans would learn to read the land, they would look for footprints, broken trees, strange silence, birds flying away, the smell of a dead animal nearby. They would learn which areas were safe and which areas were basically a bad idea with grass on top. Fire would become one of the most important tools humans had, not because fire magically solves everything, but because most animals understand that fire is dangerous. A campfire gives light, heat, and protection. It creates a boundary. It tells animals, something weird is happening here, maybe stay away. And for early humans, that little bit of distance could be the difference between surviving the night and being gone by morning. But the biggest tool humans would have is teamwork. A single human in this world is basically lunch with anxiety. A group is different. A group can keep watch. A group can protect children. A group can make noise, throw spears, use fire, set traps, and scare away smaller predators. A group can remember where the dangerous animals move during different seasons. That memory would matter more than strength. Humans would probably become experts at knowing dinosaur behavior. They would know which animals travel in herds, which ones are dangerous during nesting season, which predators follow the big plant eaters, which rivers are too risky, which valleys should be avoided at certain times of year. That is how humans would survive. Not by fighting the whole world, but by understanding it better than anything else. And this is also why humans probably would not spend their time hunting giant dinosaurs. It sounds cool, but in real life it would be a terrible plan most of the time. Why risk 10 people trying to kill one massive animal when you can hunt smaller creatures, steal eggs when it is safe, fish, trap animals, gather plants, and scavenge leftovers? Humans would be practical. They would not be trying to prove a point every morning. They would be trying to eat and not die. So coexistence would not look like peace. It would look like boundaries. Some places would belong to humans. Some places would belong to dinosaurs. Some areas would be avoided completely. A migration path for giant dinosaurs would be treated like a flood zone. You do not build your village where the flood comes every year. And you definitely do not build your village where a herd of massive animals walks through every season. That means human settlements would look very different. Villages would probably be built on high ground, near cliffs, inside caves, on islands, or behind strong walls. Humans would care a lot about defense very early. Fences, trenches, wooden spikes, watchtowers, and fire lines would appear quickly because they would be necessary. In our world, early humans had to worry about predators, weather, food, and other people. In this world, they also have to worry about a dinosaur walking through their home like it is not even there. Farming would be harder too. Imagine finally growing crops after months of work, and then a herd of giant plant eaters comes through and eats or crushes everything. That would not just be annoying. That could destroy an entire community's food supply. So farmers would need walls, guards, warning systems, and maybe controlled fires to keep animals away. This would probably slow civilization down. Humans could still build towns and cities, but they would be more careful about where they built them. Safe land would be extremely valuable. A protected valley, an island, a mountain pass, or a cliffside area could become the center of a whole civilization. In this world, geography would matter even more than it already does. Travel would also be more dangerous. People would not just casually walk across open land. They would move in groups, they would use scouts, they would follow known paths. Roads would be built in safer areas, maybe with fences or towers. Later on, bridges and tunnels would become very important because they let people move without crossing dangerous ground. And you can imagine how much dinosaurs would shape human culture. These animals would not be fossils in museums, they would be part of daily life. People would grow up hearing them at night, seeing their tracks, watching huge shapes move in the distance. Some dinosaurs would become symbols of fear. Others might become symbols of strength, luck, or even gods. Religion would probably be full of giant animals, feathers, claws, horns, and teeth. Myths would not need to invent dragons. The world already has them walking around. But the interesting thing is, humans might grow up with a different attitude toward nature. In our world, humans eventually started acting like the planet belonged to us. We cut forests, built cities, hunted animals, changed rivers, and basically treated nature like a storage room with trees in it. In a dinosaur world, that confidence would be harder to have. You can still build a city. You can still call yourself powerful. But when a massive animal walks past the city wall and everyone goes quiet, it becomes a little harder to believe you are the main character of the planet. That does not mean humans would become perfectly respectful. We are still humans. We would still overhunt, we would still expand, we would still destroy habitats, and later act shocked when the consequences arrive. But the dinosaurs would force humans to think more carefully. By the modern age, Earth would look completely different. There would be dinosaur reserves, but they would not be cute little parks. Some of them would be massive protected zones, probably with fences, drones, ranger teams, and strict rules. Cities near dinosaur territory would have warning sirens. Highways would have barriers. Some roads might close during migration season. People would probably check dinosaur alerts the same way we check weather apps. Don't take the western road today. Herd movement. That sounds funny, but it makes sense. In this world, dinosaur movement would be part of everyday planning. And of course, there would be dinosaur tourism. Humans already travel to see lions, bears, whales, and crocodiles. If living dinosaurs existed, people would absolutely pay to see them. There would be viewing towers, armored vehicles, documentaries, research centers, and probably some idiot trying to take a selfie way too close to a predator. Because no matter what timeline we are in, someone will always think the rules do not apply to them. Science would be completely different too. We would not have to guess so much about dinosaurs from bones. We would know how they sounded, how they moved, how they raised their young, how smart they were, what colors they had, how they fought, how they slept, how they got sick. And maybe people would stop thinking of dinosaurs as movie monsters. They would be animals. Dangerous animals, sure, but still animals. Some would be aggressive, some would mostly ignore humans, some would be protective of their young, some would be curious, some would be peaceful until humans did something stupid. The modern debate would probably be the same debate we have now with large animals, just much bigger. Some people would say dinosaurs are too dangerous and need to be removed from human areas. Others would say humans are the ones expanding into their habitats. Farmers would complain about crops being destroyed. Conservationists would argue that dinosaurs are part of the ecosystem. Governments would argue about land. Companies would try to profit from them. Rich people would try to own them. Criminals would probably sell eggs, teeth, feathers, or whatever else has value. So dinosaurs and humans could coexist, but it would never be simple. It would be messy. Dangerous, political, expensive. Sometimes beautiful, sometimes terrifying. The most realistic answer is that humans would survive by building smarter lives around dinosaurs. We would avoid the biggest dangers, protect our settlements, study their patterns, use technology, and slowly turn the world into a place where both species could exist without constantly destroying each other. But humans would not be fully in control. That is the main difference. In our world, humans became the dominant species so completely that we sometimes forget we are animals too. In a dinosaur world, we would never be allowed to forget it. Every wall, every road, every farm, every warning sign would remind us that the planet is shared with creatures that can kill us without even trying. And maybe that is the best answer to the whole question. Humans and dinosaurs could coexist, but only if humans learn that coexistence does not mean owning everything. It means knowing when to build, when to move, when to fight, and when to leave something alone. We could survive in that world. We could probably even become advanced, but we would live with a little more fear, a little more respect, and a much clearer understanding that the Earth was never built just for us.